Advanced Audit and Assurance. Chapter 7, Planning, Continuation. Section 4.3, Controls in Computer-Based Information Systems, General Controls and Application Controls. In a computer-based system, the internal controls will consist of both manual procedures such as physically locking a room and procedures designed into computer programs such as passwords. Such controls fall into two categories: 1. General control, and 2. Application control. The auditor needs to be satisfied that these controls are effective. General control. General controls are controls over the environment in which the computer-based information system is designed, developed, operated, and maintained. The main categories of general control that an auditor would expect to find in a computer-based information system are summarized in the table below. Control area and the controls. Development of computer-based information system and application. The controls are: appropriate standards should be established and enforced for designing, developing, programming, and documenting each new system. Suitable testing procedures should be carried out in each new system. The design of a new system should be approved formally by the management of the system user. There should be a segregation of duties between system designer and system testers to reduce the risk of error or fraud. There should be suitable staff training in the design and testing of systems. Documentation and testing of program changes. Formal testing procedures should be applied for any change to a current program. There should be formal authorization procedures for program changes. There should be suitable staff training in making the testing program changes. Prevention or detection of unauthorized program changes. There should be a segregation of duties between programmer and computer system operators. All program changes must be fully documented. Access to program files must be restricted. Program logs should be used to record access to program files and programs. There should be antivirus software and backup copies of program files should be kept to prevent or detect or deal with malicious changes to program. Prevention of the use of incorrect programs or data files. Standard operating procedures should be established and operation should be performed by suitably trained staff. The scheduling of jobs for a computer system should specify the program files and data files to be used. There should be effective supervision of computer center operations. Review of operations should be carried out regularly by management. Prevention of unauthorized amendments to data files. There must be restricted access to data files, limited to authorized personnel. Transaction logs should be kept of all uses of data files. All this should be reviewed by management. Ensuring continuity of operations. Secure backup copies should be kept of program files and data files. Measures should be implemented for the protection of equipment against fire, power failure, and other hazards. Disaster recovery programs should be in place in the event of a major disaster that puts the main computer system out of action. There should be suitable maintenance and service agreements for all major externally acquired software. These general controls should apply to most or all of the entity's computer-based information system application. not just to computerize accounting systems. If general controls are weak, it is unlikely that the processing undertaken by the system will be complete and accurate. The auditor should review and test the general controls in order to reach a conclusion about their effectiveness. This will enable him to assess the control risk attached to the entity's computer-based information system as a whole. Application control. It is also necessary for the auditor to identify and assess the application controls in each specific computer-based application, such as the inventory, receivables, and payroll system. The auditor must be satisfied that the application control for a particular system are effective. Application controls are specific controls over each specific computerized accounting application or system. The purpose of application control is to provide assurance that 1. Processed transactions have been properly authorized, and 2. The processing of data is complete, accurate, and timely. In a manual processing system, internal controls vary according to the application. For example, internal controls over inventory are different from the controls over payroll processing. Similarly, application control in a computer-based information system will vary depending on the nature of the application. However, application control for different computer applications share a number of common features regardless of the particular application involved. In particular, the auditor will place a high degree of emphasis on controls over inputs. For application controls to be effective, it is essential that input must be complete and accurate. If the input is not correct, the output from the application cannot be expected to be correct. A list of application controls that might be found in a computer system is set out below. The control area, input. The controls, authorization. Data for input should be authorized before input. Data is input only by authorized personnel. Completeness. There should be checks to ensure that all data has been processed. Checks might consist of document counts, for example, counting the number of invoices. Control totals, checking outputs to inputs. Reviewing of output against the expected values. For example, is the total payroll cost broadly in line with expectations? Accuracy. There should be some checks within the computer software on the validity of input data items. Data validation checks. This may include check digits for key code items such as suppliers codes, customer codes, and employee identification numbers. Range checks, that is a check on whether a particular value or figure is feasible and within a realistic range of values. Existence check, that is a check on whether a particular code exists. Review and reconciliation of outputs. Use of control totals. Another control area is processing. The controls are: there should be checks that all input has been processed and that processing is complete. Checks might include control totals, batch totals, that is where the computer counts the number of transactions in a process batch, and this is checked against the manual records of the number of items in the batch. Manual review, on-screen warning that processing is not complete. Master files and standing data. Management review of master files and standing data. Regular update of master files. Record count. The auditor should review the application control for each application to establish whether they are effective on paper. It should then carry out tests of control to establish whether the application controls are operating effectively in practice. Section 4.4 COBIT, that is Control Objectives for Information and Related Technologies. COBIT, Control Objectives for Information and Related Technologies. Introduction. The existence of an accepted framework such as COBIT used for system development by a client may provide additional assurance to the auditor in their assessment of the client information system. COBIT is an IT governance tool that has been of tremendous benefit to IT professionals and has contributed immensely to effective control information system. Linking information technology and control practices, COBIT consolidates and harmonizes standards from prominent global sources into a critical resource for management control professionals and auditors. As such, COBIT represents an authoritative, up-to-date control framework, a set of generally accepted control objectives, and a complementary product that enables the easy application of the framework and control objectives, referred to as the audit guidelines. COBIT applies to enterprise-wide information systems, including personal computers, mini computers, mainframes, and distributed processing environments. It is based on the philosophy that IT resources need to be managed by a set of naturally grouped processes in order to provide the pertinent and reliable information which an organization needs to achieve its objectives. With the addition of the management guideline, COBIT now supports self-assessment of strategic organizational status, identification of actions to improve IT processes, and monitoring of the performance of these IT processes. Since the first edition of COBIT was released in 1997, it has been sold and implemented in over 100 countries of the world. COBIT has been developed as a generally applicable and accepted standard for good information technology, security, and control practice that provides a reference framework for management, users, and information system audits, as well as control and security practitioners. The purpose of COBIT. The purpose of COBIT is to provide management and business process owners with an information technology governance model that helps in understanding and managing the risk associated with IT. COBIT helps to bridge the gaps between business risk, control needs, and technical issues. It is a control model to meet the needs of IT governance and ensure the integrity of information and information system. The users of COBIT. COBIT is used by those who have the primary responsibility for business processes and technology, those who depend on technology for relevant and reliable information, as well as those providing quality, reliability, and control of information technology. Application of COBIT in business process. COBIT is business process oriented and therefore addresses itself in the first place to the owners of these processes. Generic business process refers to core processes such as procurement, operations, marketing, sales, etc., as well as support processes, human resources, administration, information technology. As a consequence, COBIT is not applied only by the IT department but also by the business as a whole. The above approach stems from the fact that in today's enterprises, the process owners are responsible for the performance of their processes, of which IT has become an integral part. In other words, they are empowered but also accountable. As a consequence, the business process owners bear the final responsibility for the information technology as deployed within the confines of business processes. Of course, they will make use of services provided by specialized parties like the traditional IT department or the third-party service provider. ComputerBased provides the business process owners with a framework which should enable them control all the different activities underlying IT deployments. As a result, they can gain reasonable assurance that IT will contribute to the achievement of their business objectives. Moreover, ComputerBased provides the business process owners with a generic communication framework to facilitate understanding and clarity among the different parties involved in the delivery of IT services. The addition of the management guidelines in the third edition of ComputerBased provides management with a new set of tools. This allows self-assessment in order to make choices for control implementation and improvement over IT. Measure the achievement of goals and the proper performance of IT processes. The management guideline include maturity models, critical success factor, key goals indicator, and key performance indicator to support managerial decision making. ComputerBased components. ComputerBased, issued by the IT Governance Institute and now in its third edition, is increasingly internationally accepted as good practice for control over information, IT, and related risk. Its guidance enables an enterprise to implement effective governance over the IT that is pervasive and intrinsic throughout the enterprise. In particular, ComputerBased management guideline component contains a framework which responds to management need for control and measurability of IT by providing tools to assess and measure the enterprise IT capability for the 34 ComputerBased IT processes. The tools include 1. Performance measurement elements, that is, outcome measurement and performance drivers for all IT processes. 2. A list of critical success factors that provide succinct, non-technical best practices for each IT process. And 3. Maturity model to assist in benchmarking and decision-making for capability improvement. ComputerBased comprises 6 specific components. 1. Management guideline. 2. Executive summary. 3. Framework. 4. Control objectives. 5. Audit guidelines. And 6. Implementation tool set. Management guideline. To ensure a successful enterprise, one has to effectively manage the union between business processes and information systems. The management guidelines are composed of 1. Maturity models to help determine the stage and expectation levels of control and compare them against industry norms. 2. Critical success factors to identify the most important actions for achieving control over the IT processes. 3. Key goal indicators to determine target levels of performance and key performance indicators to measure whether an IT control process is meeting its objective. This management guideline will help answer the question of immediate concern to all those who have a stake in enterprise success. Executive summary. Sound business decisions are based on timely, relevant, and concise information, specifically designed for time-pressed senior executive and managers. ComputerBased includes an executive overview, which provides thorough awareness and understanding of COBIT's key concepts and principles. Also included is a synopsis of the framework, providing a more detailed understanding of the concepts and principles. While identifying COBIT's four domains, which are planning and organization, acquisition and implementation, delivery and support, and monitoring, and 34 IT processes. Framework. A successful organization is built on a solid framework of data and information. The framework explains how IT processes deliver the information that the business requires to achieve its objective. This delivery is controlled through 34 high-level control objectives, one for each IT process, contained in the four domains. The framework identifies which of the 7 information criteria, that is effectiveness, efficiency, confidentiality, integrity, availability, compliance and reliability, as well as which IT resources, that is people, applications, technology, facilities and data, are important for the IT processes to fully support the business objectives. Control objective. The key to maintaining profitability in a technologically changing environment is how well control is maintained. COBIT control objective provide the critical insights needed to delineate a clear policy and good practice for information technology controls. Included are the statements of desired results or purposes to be achieved by implementing the specific and detailed control objectives throughout the 34 information technology processes. Audit guidelines. To achieve desirable goals and objectives, one has to constantly and consistently audit one's procedure. Audit guidelines outline and suggest actual activities to be performed corresponding to each of the 34 high-level IT control objectives, while substantiating the risk of control objective not being met. Audit guidelines are an invaluable tool for information system auditors in providing management assurance and/or advice for improvement. Implementation tool. Implementation tool set contains 1. Management awareness and IT control diagnostics. 2. Implementation guide FAQs. 3. Case studies from organizations currently using COBIT. And 4. Slide presentation that can be used to introduce COBIT into organizations. The tool set is designed to facilitate the implementation of COBIT, relate lessons learned from organizations that quickly and successfully applied COBIT in their work environment, and lead management to ask about each COBIT process. Is this domain important for our business objectives? Is it well performed? Who does it and who is accountable? Are the processes and control formalized? Section 4.5. Microcomputers, online systems and EDI. Computer systems in many organizations are decentralized. They are not large centralized mainframe computer systems operated in a computer center by specialist operating staff. Instead, the entity uses decentralized standalone computers or network systems, which are managed and operated by individuals who are not IT specialists. The use of decentralized systems is often efficient for the client, but many create additional problems for the auditor, who need to be satisfied that the controls within the system are effective. The following types of system may require special attention by the auditor. 1. Microcomputer systems. 2. Online systems. 3. Electronic data interchange (EDI) systems. Microcomputer systems. Microcomputer system is not a precisely defined term. It refers to a computer system in which the entity uses a number of standalone desktop computers that are located throughout the organization. For the entity, a microcomputer system will often be more efficient and cost-effective than a centralized mainframe computer system, especially as the system can normally be operated and possibly programmed by staff with little technical training in computers and IT. The auditor may have some difficulty, however, in satisfying himself that the controls for the system are sufficient and effective. The problems for the auditor in checking the effectiveness of controls happen for the following reasons. 1. The difficulty of ensuring adequate physical security of the equipment. 2. Difficulties with ensuring the security of the data and storage media, that is disk, tapes, etc. 3. These systems may permit access to many individuals, some of whom are not authorized. It may be easy, for example, for an unauthorized person to gain access to a computer system when the authorized user is not at his or her desk. The problem of easy access, therefore, introduces problem of authorization. There is the risk of unauthorized amendments to program or data files. The risk in this area can be minimized by restricting access to the computer system and to particular program files and data files through the use of passwords and user names. 4. Programs may be written or modified by the user. That is one of the potential attractions to the entity of the use of microcomputer system, but this may cause control risk with respect to processing and the software. In an extreme case, the accounting data produced by a microcomputer may not be usable by the auditor. 5. The auditor should want to see adequate documentation of the software systems. If this is not provided by the software supplier with the program, it would need to be written by the computer user. Online systems. Online systems are network computer systems that allow users direct access to centrally held data and programs. Access to the central files is through remote terminals. Online systems offer a number of operational advantages to entities that use them. 1. They permit the immediate entry of transactions from many different locations instead of having to submit transactions to a central computer center for processing. For example, if a retailing company operates an online system for sales transaction data can be input immediately for centralized processing through terminals in each retail store. 2. In the same way, centralized master files, such as master files for inventory, are updated immediately. This means that subsequent users of the system can use the up-to-date versions of master files. 3. Online systems allow users to make enquiries and obtain immediate responses by having access to master files or reference files. For example, users are able to give immediate answers to customers about prices of products or the current status of their order. Again, although online systems are usually efficient and effective for the user, they create additional problems for the auditor who need to assess the effectiveness of the system controls. There should be sufficient general controls and application controls to minimize the risk that arise from using online systems. General controls in an online system could include the following. 1. There must be effective controls over access to the system and its files. This is because in online systems, transactions are processed as soon as they are input. There should be controls written into the system software to prevent or detect unauthorized changes to programs. 3. Transaction logs should be used to create an audit trail. An audit trail refers to the ability of the auditor to trace a transaction through all its processing stages. An audit trail may not exist in paper form in computer systems. The computer program should therefore be written in such a way as to generate the audit trail for any transaction on request. 4. Firewalls should be used for systems that have access to the internet. Firewalls are hardware or software devices that prevent unauthorized access to a system from an internet user. Application controls in an online system could include the following. 1. Pre-processing authorization, such as logging on to the system and the use of username and passwords. 2. Data validation checks in the software to check the completeness and accuracy of processing, such as checking that a product code has been entered with the correct number of digits. 3. Balancing. Checking control totals of data submitted from remote terminals before and after processing. Electronic data interchange (EDI) systems. Electronic data interchange systems are systems that allow the electronic transmission of business documents, such as invoices or payroll information, between different computer systems. The EDI system provides a form of translation service so that the data transmitted from one computer system is changed into a form that can be read by the other computer system without any need for human intervention. EDI system may operate within the organization. For example, the sales department may use EDI to transfer copies of customer order electronically to a separate computer system of the accounting department, or externally. For example, a company may use EDI to submit payroll data for processing to the computer system of a payroll agency, or may submit purchase orders for inventory electronically to the computer system of a supplier. EDI systems can improve the operational efficiency of an entity, but they may generate the following problems for the auditor who has to assess the efficiency of the system controls. 1. The lack of a paper audit trail. 2. An increased level of dependency on the computer system of the organization and possibly the computer system of other entities. Any failure or control weakness in one computer system may have an impact on the control system that is being audited. There may be a risk of loss or corruption of data in the process of transmission. There will be security risk in the transmission of data. Auditors should expect to find effective controls in place to minimize the risk inherent in EDI system. Typically, control system will cover such matters as 1. Controls over the transmission of data, such as the encryption of data before transmission, acknowledgement systems, and the use of authentication codes for senders of data. 2. Monitoring and checking of outputs. 3. Virus protection systems. 4. Contingency plans and backup arrangements. Electronic Commerce IAPS 1013 now withdrawn. International Auditing Practice Statement IAPS 1013 was previously issued in response to the growth in electronic commerce or e-commerce. It has subsequently been withdrawn, although the guidance remains relevant. It provides guidance on the impact of e-commerce on the auditor's risk assessment. E-commerce is any commercial activity or trading that takes place between computers that are connected over a public network. The most common example is the sale and purchase of goods over the internet. For example, Amazon.com. IAPS 1013 focused on the following areas. 1. The skill and knowledge needed by the auditor to understand the effect of e-commerce on the entity's activities. The more complex the activities, the greater the skills and knowledge required. 2. The extent of the knowledge of the business needed by the auditor. E-commerce may have a significant impact on the traditional business environment, increasing security risk and geographical markets. 3. Additional business risk arise from e-commerce. Loss of transaction integrity, security risk, the use of inappropriate accounting policies, e.g., in respect of the capitalization of website development costs, legal and regulatory risk. 4. Internal control considerations. Internal control may exist, but there may not be an adequate audit trail.